Hello everybody, welcome back to my English class. In our day-to-day life, we come across so many strange, difficult situations. Sometimes we do not know how to handle the situation. We need to take some tough decisions at times. We are in a dilemma and do not know how to decide which way to go. In such situations, we take risks. We make our choices. Whether it is risky or not, sometimes we are forced to choose one of the two options or two or more options we have in front of us. And we may land in trouble after making the choice. Then how do we go through this? Do we give up? Or should we continue? Whatsoever it may be, we have made the choice, so should we continue? And if so, if you need to continue, is your inner strength enough, or do you need some external help? Let us see this from the short story, The Black Aeroplane, which is a part of two stories about flying. Let's move ahead. This is Revati, and I welcome you to the journey in this black aeroplane. If you like my videos, please subscribe and share with your friends so that they can be benefited. Let's go along with this journey in the black aeroplane. Now this is lesson 3, part 2 in your textbook, The First Flight. The moon was coming up in the east behind me, and stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone high up above the sleeping countryside. I was flying by my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. So we see that this is a first person narrative. The narrator here is flying from France to England. Right? He sees that the skies are clear, which is very good for flying. He is a pilot who's flying from France to England. The skies are clear, so he was very happy that he'll be moving over to England. I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward to being with my family. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. You can see it's late in the night. Okay, so the whole countryside was sleeping. It was midnight. Okay, 1:30 is midnight, isn't it? I should call Paris control soon, I thought. As I looked down past the nose of the airplane, I saw the lights of a big city in front of me. I switched on the radio and said, Paris control, Dakota DS-088 here. Can you hear me? I'm on my way to England. Over. So he had to make his communication, right? He had to communicate with the Paris control room. That he's passing by this, he's using this airspace, right? So he's moving from France to England, and now he's approaching Paris. So he wanted to communicate that he's passing by. And what was his plane? It was Dakota DS-088. So he passes the information that he's passing by. The voice from the radio answered me immediately. So immediately he got a response from the Paris control room. DS-088, I can hear you. You ought to turn 12 degrees west now. DS-088, over. So he gets the directions, the direction he has to take in order to make his flight without any hassles. I checked the map and the compass, switched over to my second and last fuel tank, and turned the Dakota 12 degrees west towards England. So as he got the instruction to turn 12 degrees west, he had done the same. I'll be in time for breakfast, I thought. A good big English breakfast. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. So everything fine. As of now, everything went on smoothly. He switched over to his second and last fuel tank, right? And he was dreaming of having a wholesome breakfast with his family in England. So basically, he belongs to England, right? So from France, he's moving to his hometown and he's very happy. Who isn't happy to move to hometown? Isn't it? So the narrator is very happy to be joining his family and he's dreaming of a wholesome English breakfast. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me. So he just left Paris, moved on 150 kilometers from Paris when I saw the clouds. So till now everything was smooth, no hassle, isn't it? Now he sees a few clouds, storm clouds, not just clouds but storm clouds. They were huge. They looked like black mountains. A simile is used here. The clouds are compared to black mountains. They must be huge and black, dark. Standing in front of me across the sky, I knew I could not fly up and over them, and I did not have enough fuel to fly around them to the north or south. So now he had some issues. What were the issues he had to face here? One was that he could not fly up and above the clouds. The clouds were so huge, he could not take a trip above them. And I did not have enough fuel to fly around them to the north or the south. He could not take a left trip, he could not take a right trip, he could not go above. Because his fuel, he did not have sufficient fuel for this round trip. So what was the choice he was left with? He had to go through the storm clouds. I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to get home. So the only choice he had was either go back to Paris or move ahead. But he was so eager to go back home and join his family that he decided on taking the risk. But I wanted to get home. I wanted that breakfast. I'll take the risk. So what was the decision he had taken? Choices. We have studied about the road not taken in class 9, where you need to take your choices. Once you make your choice, you cannot look back, isn't it? So he came to such a juncture here, whether to go back to Paris or move ahead, face the risk. So what did he decide? That he would take the risk. I'll take the risk, I thought, and flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. So he decided to face the consequences whatsoever by taking the risk of going through the storm clouds. Inside the clouds. Now he's already inside the clouds. He's engulfed on all sides by the cloud. Everything was suddenly black. It was impossible to see anything outside the aeroplane. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. I looked at the compass. I couldn't believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. It was dead. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead too. I tried the radio. So he saw that once he entered the storm clouds, everything stopped working. the compass stopped working. The aeroplane started jumping and twisting in the air. Right? He was totally left stranded in the storm clouds. And all because of the choice he had made. The compass was turning round and round and round. The compass was not working. Earlier it was working, if you remember. He followed the instructions given by the Paris control room, and he turned the aeroplane 12 degrees west. Right? At that time the compass was working, but now it stopped working. It was dead. And other instruments were suddenly dead too. So all the other instruments also which would help him fly, even those were not working. Everything was dead. I tried the radio. Now the only option he's left with was to take help from the control room. So he tried the radio. Paris control, can you hear me? There was no answer. The radio was dead too. See, even the radio was dead. I had no radio, no compass, and I could not see where I was. He was stuck in the dark clouds, storm clouds. I was lost in the storm. Then, in the black clouds, quite near me, I saw another aeroplane. So strange, isn't it? So just like him, he found another aeroplane stuck in the black clouds. It had no lights on its wings, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. There were no lights at all on that flight, but nevertheless, he could see this flight. I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand and waved. So he saw the pilot. He could see the pilot. Since all his gadgets failed in his aeroplane, he had to depend on someone else. Right? He did not have any other help. He didn't know where he was going. And on top of all this, he had limited fuel. He could not take much risk now, isn't it? So he had to take help of someone else. So it's like an oasis in a desert, right? Follow me, he was saying. Follow me. So, sorry, the pilot from the other aeroplane was telling him to follow him. He knows that I'm lost, I thought. He's trying to help me. So he saw that, he understood that the other pilot understood that he's lost in the storm. So he thought, thank God, I got some help. He's trying to help me. That's why he asked me to follow him. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota so that it would be easier for me to follow him. So the black aeroplane, it's called a black aeroplane because it doesn't have any lights on it, right? So the black aeroplane went ahead of him towards north direction, and the narrator also followed the black aeroplane. I was very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. Well, he is not left with any options, right? He had to follow the black aeroplane. So, like an obedient child, he followed the black aeroplane. After half an hour, the strange black aeroplane was still there in front of me in the clouds. So, for half an hour, he traveled like this. He just blindly followed the black aeroplane. Right? So, still it was in front of him. Now there was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 minutes more. See the risk factor. The fuel tank was holding only enough fuel to take him another 5 or 10 minutes. That's all. Beyond that, he doesn't have sufficient fuel. I was starting to feel frightened again. Earlier, when was he frightened? When all his gadgets stopped working and he was lost in the storm clouds. Now, once again, he's afraid. He's frightened. Why is he frightened now? Because he had limited fuel, which would last only for 5 or 10 minutes. But then he started to go down and I followed through the storm. Who started going down? The black aeroplane. But then, no worries, because the black aeroplane started to descend. It was going down. So he thought, thank God, and he followed. Suddenly I came out of the clouds and saw 2 long straight lines of lights in front of me. It was a runway, an airport. I was safe. So suddenly he saw that he was very close to a runway, close to an airport, right? So he understood that he was safe. Though he was lost in the storm clouds, his fuel was limited. Even then, safely he was able to make this landing. I turned to look for my friend in the black aeroplane, but the sky was empty. When he turned around, he couldn't find the black aeroplane anymore. There was nothing there. The black aeroplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. I landed and was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. Why was he not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota? Because he was faced with such great risk, isn't it, in the Dakota. So it was like a relieving moment for him, great relief that he's out of danger. That's why he did not feel sorry to walk away from his old Dakota. I went and asked a woman in the control center where I was and who the other pilot was. So he inquired, where am I? Because he was lost, right, in the dark storm. So he doesn't even know which control room he approached. So he inquired about that and he asked about the other black aeroplane. I wanted to say thank you. She looked at me strangely and then laughed. So she looked at this man very strangely and laughed. Why did she laugh? Another aeroplane? Up there in the storm? No other aeroplanes were flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar. So what was the response he gets from the control room? That there was no other aeroplane at all. The weather was bad, so no other plane was flying in this bad weather. His flight was the one and only one that was flying in the airspace. On the radar, this was the only flight that could be seen. Isn't it strange? That's why she looked at him strangely. So who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or a radio and without any more fuel in my tanks? Who was the pilot on the strange black aeroplane flying in the storm without lights? So this is a question he's posed with, and probably the same question you are thinking about, isn't it? So who is there? Where is this black aeroplane? Who is there on this black aeroplane without lights in the storm, which was not found on the radar, who came all the way, suddenly appeared all the way in front of the narrator who was lost, showed him, guided him through the storm, and suddenly disappeared again? Who could it be? What is your guess? Do you think some supernatural power helped him? Or do you think it is his inner strength? You know, when we say necessity is the mother of invention. Here he was faced with a risk, a dangerous condition. Right? So it was necessary for him to get out of the storms. Of the black storm, dark storm, isn't it? So, is it his conviction to come out of the storm that helped him? That he had to support his decision, right? He had taken the risk. He had decided to take the risk. So, is it his inner strength that guided him to come out safely out of this storm? So, it is an open-ended story, and the narrator leaves it to our own imagination, whether it is the inner strength or whether it is some supernatural power that helped him step out of this dangerous condition. So, what do you think? This is about the short story, The Black Aeroplane. Hope you enjoyed the story.